Buying your first home can feel overwhelming because people don't often talk about the big picture. But it's not actually one big decision that gets you into your first home. It's a combination of a bunch of little baby steps that get you there. Today, I want to walk you through the entire process from planning to moving day so that you can feel prepared when you start your search. Keep in mind, it's not about memorizing all those details just yet. It's really just about knowing what comes next. Step one is determining your wants and needs. Everyone has a super long list of everything that they would love to have in their first home, but it is a first home after all, so it's super important to differentiate the difference between the things that you want and the things that you actually need. There are things that can be changed about a home like cosmetic fixes, appliances, paint colors, but unfortunately you can't change the location, the size of the home, or the layout without a ton of renovations. So it's super important to determine your priorities and also your lifestyle. What is super important for your family? What do you need to be close to? And what kind of life do you want to live in your first home? When my clients start to have a hard time with this, I tell them to break it down into 3 categories. So for each category, you want to have 3 things. In the first one, 3 things that you have to have in your next home. Next, we have 3 things that you would like to have in your next home. And lastly, 3 things that you could compromise on. This helps you stay focused and also be decisive when the right property comes along. It's important to note that your criteria will change when you start shopping for homes. Step 2 is figuring out who is actually on your side. Choosing the right real estate agent to represent you is a very important decision because that is the person that is going to determine whether you're going to have a smooth and stress-free transaction or whether it's going to feel like you're jumping over one hurdle after the other and that everything feels extremely difficult. A key piece of information that I really want you to know is the difference between a buyer's agent and a listing agent. The listing agent is the person that has been hired by the seller to sell the home. They have their photo and their phone number on the sign when a property is listed for sale, and they're the person that is doing everything they possibly can to ensure that the seller gets the best price and the best terms possible. As a buyer, you can go directly to the listing agent if you would like to purchase the property, but it leaves you in 2 situations. First is that the listing agent can only provide services to you that directly benefit their seller. They can do the basics like show you the property, give you some information on the home, explain the basic forms and agreements, but again, they are doing everything in their power to ensure that their client, the seller, gets the best price and terms possible. Scenario 2 is that you end up in multiple representation, which means the listing agent represents both sides and it changes the way that they can help you. They can no longer advise either side and they can only provide facts, which means you are no longer getting an advisor. Luckily, you have another option, and that is having your own buyer's agent representing you throughout the process. This is someone who represents you and your best interests from beginning to end. They can do all those basic services plus discover and disclose any information about the property that could cause you to want to buy it or not. And this means digging down deep and making sure that you know everything there is to know about this property, including any past sales that would help you determine the value of the home. Ultimately, having your own agent representing you means that your family is going to be protected and that you have someone looking out for your best interests and getting you the best price and terms possible. When I represent a buyer, I am not just trying to sell them on a home. I'm advising them to make sure that that is the perfect property for their family and their future. Step 3 is getting pre-approved before you fall in love with a home. Please, this is so important. It will make things so much easier for you if you get pre-approved ahead of time. You'll be able to understand what your budget can offer you, exactly what your monthly payments will look like, and also know that when you do find the perfect property, you'll be ready to jump on it and there won't be any delays. No matter the market that you're shopping in, the seller is going to want to know that you're a serious buyer, and being able to tell them upfront that you are pre-approved and that your financing is solid means that they'll be more inclined to potentially accept a better price. I can tell you from experience of working with stubborn buyers that falling in love with a house only to find out that the bank won't approve you for that loan is the biggest disappointment that you could possibly go through. Step 4 is making sure you have access to the most up-to-date information possible. As agents, we pay quite a bit of money to have access to MLS, which is the multiple listing service where properties get listed for sale. How it works is once we upload a property to the MLS system or change the status like from active to conditionally sold or conditionally sold to sold, that information gets populated to all these other websites where typical buyers are shopping. This can take a little bit of time, which means that you may be looking at information that is out of date. As a buyer who is actively shopping in the market, it is super important that you get access to information as soon as it is available. So getting connected with an agent who can set you up to start receiving notifications of when listings come to the market or have status changes will give you an advantage over all the other ones that are just looking online. Another thing that's super important for you to know is that properties look very different in person than they do online. I have clients that will spend months looking at listings and discounting properties based on the photos, and then they'll come to me and say, Sydney, there's nothing that matches our search criteria, but some of those homes could have been that 7 or 8 out of 10, and if they had seen it in person, they may have known that after a few cosmetic changes, that home was actually the 10 out of 10 they were looking for. All that to say, go see those homes in person. I promise it will help you focus your search criteria, and whether it takes you 5 visits or 25 visits, we will find you your perfect home. That leads me right into step 5, which is marketplace education. Once you have an idea of what you're looking for, you're pre-approved so you know what you can afford, and you've chosen an agent to help you, it's important that you get out and start seeing properties so that you can understand A, what your budget can offer you, but also B, how the market is actually performing in your desired price range and neighborhood. This is a pressure-free day to just go out and see some properties, get an idea of what you like versus what you don't like, and also follow these homes and see what they actually sell for. Did they sell very quickly for over asking price? Did it take weeks and did it sell under asking price? These are things that you're going to want to know so that you can understand what strategy is going to be needed when you do find the perfect property. As a first-time home buyer, it is so important that you educate yourself on the market and how it's performing so that you can keep your stress levels low when you go to submit an offer. You may have guessed it, but step 6 is making an educated offer. By the time you're ready to make this offer, you know exactly what's coming next. We're going to take a look at all the most recent sales, specifically in that little pocket of properties on the street, or as close as we can get, that sold as most recent as possible to help you determine what the fair market value for this home is. That being said, you're probably going to have an idea of whether it's well priced or not, just based on the other properties that we saw during our marketplace education. We'll look at all the data, including the age of all the major systems for the property, all the pros and cons to determine whether this really is the right fit for you and what is the proper strategy to get you that home. This will allow you to negotiate a great price and good terms without feeling overwhelmed. Step 7 is navigating conditions, and this comes after your offer is accepted. Most purchases will have a conditional period because this is your safety net. It allows you to check the home and make sure it's exactly what you thought it was. The most common conditions are financing, home inspection, and insurance. Prior to doing all your due diligence, you will submit a deposit to essentially hold the property. This is usually about 1 to 2% of your purchase price. So for a $500,000 home, it's probably going to be between $5,000 and $10,000. And this is fully refundable if you end up deciding that this home is not the right fit for you. And if it is the right fit, it is added to your down payment. This is also when your entire team comes together in order to make this deal happen. Your mortgage broker is going to confirm your financing. You will connect with a home inspector. And of course, I always recommend the best people in the city who have worked with my clients in the past and gotten raving reviews. And you might also have a lawyer come into play here if you need them to review the agreement or potentially review a status certificate, which is related to condos. I'll explain that in another video. and we will all work together in order to make sure that you understand exactly what you're buying and that everything will be smooth all the way up until your closing day. If all goes well and you decide that this home is actually the perfect fit for you and your family, we'll fulfill our conditions and then we are on our way to closing day. Step 8 is the final steps, and that's essentially just getting ready for your move-in day. You'll follow my move-in checklist, which will make sure that everything is completely organized and that there are no surprises or delays for when you get your keys on closing day. If there are any final visits to do, we will definitely schedule those in. So for example, if the sellers agreed to do any repairs during the inspection, we just want to make sure that those things are done before closing and that the home is also in the same condition on closing as it was during our inspection. The reality is that if you chose me to be your agent for the purchase of your first home in Ottawa, I would be there to hold your hand from beginning to end and make sure that everything goes smoothly and that I'm putting out all the fires on my end so that you don't have to stress about them. Step 9 is your closing day. And honestly, this is not as scary as it sounds because we got everything ready in those last steps to make sure that that closing day is literally just about transferring the funds and you going to pick up your keys. You would have signed all of your documents with your lender and your lawyer a few days in advance, and it really is that easy. Last but absolutely not least, we have step number 10, which is your moving day. At this point, I am so excited for you because you made it to the finish line and you are officially a homeowner. This is a huge milestone and you absolutely have to celebrate it. Pop a bottle of champagne and just sit and enjoy your new home for the first time, even if you're sitting on the floor and you have no furniture. Of course, more details do come up along the way, but my job as a real estate agent is to ensure that you feel prepared every step of the way and that all of your questions are answered, sometimes even maybe before you ask them. And that is the end of today's summary of the first-time home buying process. If you made it here, congratulations, you are one step closer to being ready to purchase your first home. I'll be posting more videos in the future going in detail on each and every one of these steps. So if you're interested in continuing to learn about the home buying process, please subscribe. And if you would like a custom plan for your budget and timeline, please feel free to fill out the form in the description and I'd be happy to sit down with you, no pressure, and just chat it through. See you in the next one.